I just wanted to confirm that.
Think smarter, not harder.
Yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow.
It's pretty disappointing.
We good? Senior Carnegie?
So, you want me to not move at all, Carnegie, or how's this work?
We're trying to make it universal. Not move at all?
Oh, goodness.
Oh, you're moving, Lexi.
Yeah, it keeps on going back over there to Bob.
That's fine. Okay, I'll hang your body. What's up, Dave? Ready?
Yeah, my camera's broken.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, people on Zoom.
Sorry you can't see anything. People on Zoom. Okay. So.
The recordings are going to mess up.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Tech, we need tech help. Where's Vince?
Well, here's
The tech guy's right there.
No, he's been.
What happened?
Second in command. You need to go higher up.
There
we go.
We want
we need
results.
number
We
one.
want quick results.
There we go. All right, got what we wanted.
Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it. I think our personal finance discussion scares some people.
Yeah.
Like when they talk about mindset, it's all good. But when we talk about personal finance, be like, let me
This is
log
a
in
whole
for this.
series. We got a bunch of topics.
Yeah. So, but we started. It's all about. All starts with you. So, personal finance is personal choices, right? So, it all starts with you. And we're going to go through and talk about how we like to structure our finances and how we structure our finances and lifestyles to fit our budget and work. And I can personal stories. So, very good. Our goal is just to reiterate, and if you were here last time you saw these, our goal is to help you understand what wealth and financial freedom is achieved by, to help you understand that wealth and financial freedom is achieved by any, can be achieved by any. To help you understand that there are fundamental rules and habits that you must learn and adopt in your life daily to achieve a financial success. Our goal is to make you financially literate so you can live a life by design. That is our goal. So hopefully that's a similar shared goal to all of you. We're here to tell you what we have learned. So our expectations is listen and engage. This class will be twice as good if you participate. And we're pretty hands-on, so and we ask that you do exercise purposes looking inward, not outward. So, don't start judging other people's situations. Think about it inward. And wealth starts with a mindset. If you come to the series not engaged, you won't know the rules of wealth, and then you have to have that for us before you can have wealth. So everything we're saying to you and teaching to you is going to be action-based, but it's also about getting your mindset right around financial.
I think make sure to implement some of this stuff outside of these classes too. Because last time we were talking about some books, some different websites to check out, some podcasts. So make sure you guys visit those to make sure that you're staying in tune with a bunch of different concepts that we got.
Wealth building series. This is how we're doing. We're here. Personal finances. Last time we did wealth and mindset. I think we have a recording of that. So. And then that should be your first wealth building opportunity. The goal of business is profit. So we're going to dig into your business finances, and then we're going to talk about how you can build wealth through business, tax deferred strategies through your business, and then we're going to talk about now I have extra money, and now I'm going to invest and we're going to specifically focus on real estate investing and how you can take advantage of real estate investing. How that. Okay, who's ready to get going?
Ready.
We have 4 rules for you. We had 5 last 2 weeks ago. We have 4 personal finance rules. Rule number 1. This is pretty simple. It's not rocket science, although we do it a lot. Don't spend more than you make.
I think additionally is don't spend necessarily your gross. I think we're analyzing this a lot. You get that paycheck from the office, the wire, whatever, and you think all that money's yours, but it's not. We have expenses, business expenses, we have taxes that we got to make sure to save. We're going to break that all down. But
yeah, we're going to break down everything. Look at your income and tax so you can get real about, because a lot of you, I think, are thinking you're spending within your means, but actually you're just robbing other things that you should be spending on that you're not, and then it comes back to you like in IRS back taxes and Sometimes you're just not paying for healthcare, you're sacrificing your health to maintain your lifestyle, right? So.
I feel attacked.
I think we've all been there.
Hey, we all been there, trust me, I've been there too.
It's,
So.
it's the toughest thing. Once again, when you get whatever amount on your paycheck, it's all yours, and you have a bunch of other things that the money was already spent for, but you can shop.
Yeah, exactly.
Or whatever it is. So it's just mindset, like we talked about last time, but it's initiating a budget too, which we're talking.
So, this is my will. Where too many people spend money they earn to buy things they don't want and to impress people they don't like. So, so just think about yourself and what you buy and how much of it is it show and how much of it is something you actually want. Right. That's funny because realtors are best at doing this. Right? So,
The camera's totally stuck on you, Bob.
oh, so
It's like we're ruining our video as well.
How can we just have it not move?
yeah,
Well, because it somehow it grabbed you, so it's not, you need to release it.
at least
We
everything's
need
good.
to release it.
Everything's good. Don't raise your hand. Don't raise your hand.
No talking with your hands.
What would, okay, so if we know this rule, you don't spend more than you like, what would you have to do to make rule number one a reality in your life?
Make more.
Make more money?
Make more money.
You're like, I don't have an expense problem, I have an income problem, right?
Sell more houses, make more investments for sure. It's the ideal strategy.
Maybe be on a budget,
Yeah,
That helps.
that helps, right? Know your income and expenses, right? Know where your money's coming from, where you're going out.
How you supposed to live in your means if you don't know what your means are?
Exactly, so we're gonna get into that.
Business and personal. How many people have been keeping track of expenses on a monthly
In your business.
I don't really have
I have like an idea.
I just use one credit card, so everything is there.
Yeah.
Print it out at the end, and
It's a valid strategy. It's all in one spot.
what's fun?
Yeah,
Is that more for your taxes or just because you don't want to track it?
A little bit both. I got a bookkeeper 2 years ago. It's been game changer.
A game changer, yeah. A lot of times just spending the money.
Everything's sense to me about where we're at. Even, I know Soares does his own QuickBooks every month. I don't know how everybody does their own P&Ls, but figuring something out to just know where you're at to make sure, once again, that paycheck that you get.
There's a lot of good, make it as easy as possible.
Yeah. Literally,
Like you just sync your bank accounts and it'll pick up your habits. You have to do it just a couple months in a row and say, hey, whenever I spend here, it belongs to this expense category. And it picks that up. And then every time you spend there, it knows what that money is for.
and literally you can spend 15 minutes just on the new stuff or all stuff in categories. You put those in. Before it's rolling.
15 minutes to 30 minutes a month.
Yeah, a month.
Because once again, it remembers everything old. You just have a couple.
And I can tell you, our business finances on our real estate team, I have Megan doing that, but she spends maybe 30 minutes a month in category. And that's our team with payroll. We have payroll and complicated, and she's doing everything about 30 minutes because if you systemize it.
I have an app on my phone called QuickBooks Self-Employed,
Yeah.
and anybody can get it. It's like $100 a year, and it connects to my bank account, and it does it.
Yeah.
And so then I can make rules, so it will always categorize certain expenses as business and always as personal, and then it tracks your money. Kind of cool. So then you can just look. So sometimes I just look at it, I'm like, oh, look at how much money I made this year.
That's awesome. I mean, you want to say that, right?
Yeah.
One for ego boost, but sometimes like, oh, I better start hustling.
Yeah.
So yeah, like maybe I need to change something. So, all right. How many of you need to pay some debt off?
Yeah.
Because theoretically,
Yeah.
mortgage debt isn't another thing, but if you have anything non-mortgage debt, you're literally spending beyond your means, right? Because you wouldn't have to take that debt if you didn't have the money, right?
And this is something big I did like 3 or 4 years ago or something like that. I stopped using my credit cards because it was over leveraging. It was just easier to pay with cash or my debit card, so I knew I had the money.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to run into like paying off debt issues. And then after a while, I got back into credit cards now, but that was a big game changer. A lot of these points that we're kind of diving into is like exercises from Dave Ramsey, and he's genius, the face of paying down your debt, getting in a good financial position that we're going to go over here. Go over those steps.
I will say that stop using credit cards is credit cards become like a habit
Yeah,
because it feels like, well, I'll just put it on the credit so that I have the cash for it.
Exactly.
I have the cash. I never do that. I have the cash, but I say, I'm gonna put it on my credit card because I'll get more cash later and I can pay that payment later. So it's not taking money right now. And it's like a poor man kind of attitude about it. But it's this comfort zone. And I was listening to this thing about it and it said, you gotta get rid of that comfort zone.
Yeah.
So that way you don't spend the money. Because then when you look at it, you're like, okay, I actually have to take cold hard cash out of my account right now.
right
And
now.
it changes the way I think about
Yeah.
my
If you had to
spending.
buy something and you had to pay a debit card every time, how many of you would stop buying some stuff, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but sometimes it's for security reasons. You don't want to have debit card everywhere, especially.
I've been using my debit
Oh,
card.
my
Yeah,
God.
that's-
Oh,
that's
you
another
you don't
idea.
even, when you travel overseas, you shop.
Oh.
So you have always to stick to one credit card. And
I
you can
think
use
it's
it
when you're not
anywhere.
habitual. I think
Yeah,
when you're not
there's
habitual
exceptions
things,
to it,
like,
for sure.
there's always exceptions. When I went to Mexico, I used one credit. You're right.
You have
So
to
we're
have
talking about
one
like your
for
everyday
that.
life.
Your everyday
It's-
life.
It's not the one-time vacation that does this to you.
I'll tell you, we did
Can
something
be.
Yeah.
about 3-4 years ago.
Can be.
Yeah. About 3-4 years ago as well, we stopped using credit cards, although we did focus and purposely we went to all one credit card for all our finances we could, just because it lined up vacation-wise for us better. But we have that set to automatically pay full balance every month, so it just deducts.
I took that recent mindset where I actually took it with my wife. We had a joint card that I already use, and so last week we made a decision to stop using that because she knew she could spend whatever she wanted to pay for. I'm like, they got tea,
Time out.
because I want to be able to go on this path as well.
So, you ready to move forward? You cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today. So that was Abraham Lincoln. So way out there.
Before credit.
Before credit cards. Wise man, wise man. So just so you know, every time you do spend that credit card, all you're doing is pushing responsibility down in the future. And then that's when people end up bitter and at the end, right? Because they felt like, their life was wasted because the end of their life ends up being the worst part of their life. Right?
On the page, right?
Kicking the can.
Yeah, keep kicking the can, it gets a big pile at the end, right? So, personal finance rule number 2, all wealthy people know where their money comes from and where it's going. I have not met anyone who is super wealthy that didn't have a great handle on their finances. No.
That kind of falls back in our line. Versus what they have next.
We helped a buyer on our team, and he had a leisure fund, right? He owned I don't know, 4,000 homes, rental homes across,
About 6,000 units.
across the United States. Bought a home for his friend cash. But he was very strict on his finance. He says, I'm going to take this from my leisure. It's his fun account. He took it from his fun account. So even that guy doesn't touch the business money. He only uses his leisure account, right? Does that make sense? So even the most wealthy people are very structured in how they do their finances and watch them. Right.
Suarez is really good about this. I
Suarez
was talking to him like years ago when I took gold with him and used to go to the Bay Area. He puts money away monthly or every quarter for his vacation, whatever amount that is, and then their education fund, and then their leisure fund, whatever it is. Obviously, their business fund, but I never thought about that before. Like putting money away for your vacations, like it's an awesome way to do it on a monthly or quarterly basis.
I think we'll talk about this a little bit, but
Yeah.
It's a non-negotiable too. It's like he is set, he has this much money every month, every quarter, whatever it is, it always goes in. So
Yeah.
he doesn't spend it, he doesn't.
Yeah, and we're going to talk a lot about that because I structure our finances similarly in our household. We're very structured on how much we spend, and we only put that much money in the account. So if it goes over, it's going to get denied. So we control our spending. So, but with that said, we will start with knowing where your money comes from. How many know where their money comes from? Well, you should know. You're a real estate agent, right? So you do real estate for a business, so you should know where your income comes from. So, and then we will know where money is coming from later. So, personal budgeting is a key. Is personal budgeting, living by it is a key to long-term wealth building. I can't stress that enough. When you get serious about your personal finances, that triggers everything else. Because when you get serious about your finances, your personal finances, you realize, well, I'm sucking it up on my real estate side. I really need more income. Or I need to get rid of those expenses. You'll start making decisions smart. Like you said, if you're going to pay everything cash, you're going to start making better decisions. You're starting to be more motivated about your business and more serious about things because you want to make this stuff. Let's go to exercise 1. Oh, wait, monthly budget. No. Yeah. All right. Okay, long-term budget. So let's talk about your money. So it's going to be this one, this handout, agent income calculator, capper. Everyone have that in front of you? You can do this generic or you can do this for you. If you know your numbers. Yeah. If you want the Excel version. Oh, this is monthly budget. Or is this the right one?
Yeah, it's the monthly budget.
What you got? Find your paper.
Oh, that's this one, not this.
Is that the same one as the?
I don't know if it's on that.
Calculation?
Maybe we missed it. Yeah. Sorry. This may not be up there, but we'll get to you. You can download it. What's this? Don't worry. Sam has it. We'll post it. So.
You got the printout though.
Yeah, we'll get the printout. So I want you guys to understand where your money is coming from. And this is just a rough exercise. It's not going to be super exact, but I want you to think about your money as a real estate agent, where it comes from. Do you know your average sales price? If you don't know your average sales price, then you're not tracking your numbers well enough. That's an agent. But if you want to, the average sales price in Sacramento right now is $515,000. So if you want to write that down, you can. Average GCI sold per unit. Does anyone know what their average GCI is? Depends how good you are at negotiating listing commissions.
You mean like your yearly GCR?
Your annual. So how much do you get paid every time you close a deal? 2.5%.
Oh.
What if it's 2%? What if it's
GCI
3%?
again is like my least favorite thing to look at.
Yeah.
Because it's not what you take home.
It's not what you take
It's
home.
once again, that like we look at our GCI and it's a lofty number. It's not even close.
And so this exercise is gonna get you off of looking at your GCI and looking at actually what you're taking home. Because we have to know where our money comes from, right? So I want you to be real about agents. So please write down. So if you don't have any numbers yourself, that's fine. Put average 15 sales price. We'll say 2.5, but we know based on agents, most of it's happening around 2.2, 2.3 right now. So if you want to be really realistic, most agents are averaging 2.2 I'd say 2.25% on their average commission that they make. And that's because they tend to be buyer heavy then. And they also, so they're getting whatever the listing agent's taking them. If you tend to be listing heavy, you'll have a higher percentage, somewhere from 2.5 to 3%. But if you don't, you want to use any measure, just put 2.25. Closed units. I don't know if you want to have closed units, but there's, if you want to keep it simple just for yourself, we're going to talk about capper. We push cappers all day long, right? Capper to cap in our system, you're going to do about 10 transactions to cap. So if you want, you can put 10 transactions in there. And if you want, times that, take the average sales price, times it by your GCI percentage. So it'd be 515,000 times, what do you put, 2.25%? So you do it on your phone, times 10. And how much income is that?
That's 128,750,000. So 128K.
Okay, so a capper making $515,000, right?
Oh wait, no, I think I
No,
did
right?
that
Is that
one.
right?
Let's do it again. Let's try it again. I think I
515
pressed.
times 2.25% times 10.
Oh no, I did it right. I did it right.
Times 0.02. Well, you have to put the percentage. 0.02.
875.
115.875. 115.875. Okay, so your gross total income is 115.875. Who would have won a six-figure income, right? You're doing great. You're a capper. You're on the wall. You got your 10 transactions. You're doing it well, right? Now I want you to take a 25% of that amount and pay it toward taxes. So take that amount, times it by 0.25, and write that number in.
Right.
What?
It's really frightening people.
It's a generous tax rate.
That's a generous tax rate. This is a generous tax rate. It's probably more than that in California, but be generous with this. 25%. It's probably more than that, actually.
No.
John, can you confirm that number again?
25%?
No, for the whole sum total. So the 515K times 2.5% times 10 transactions. So I got 100.
What'd you say?
I have 128,750, but I think someone said something different.
Times 0.25, not 2.25 times 10 is 115.
115,875, 2.25 on the commission, 2.25%.
On 515.
Oh, 2.25. I did
Yeah.
2.5.
And
That's
so
the
everyone got their
difference.
25% of that amount
Yeah.
in there? Now, what's your cap to KW total? Between royalty and your cap is 18. So this assumes you capped, right? Capped. So you're paying 18 in commission splits. How much do you spend outside of real estate on your business? Some of you are gonna be like, I'm super thin, I don't spend anything, but I know you got MLS dues, and you got SAR dues, I know you got gas, right? You got gas. How much do you think that adds up annually? I can tell you between SAR dues, MLS dues, and E&O here, you're probably spending $2,500 at least a year to maintain your license between SAR, MetroList, E-Key, and us, right? So how much more do you spend on gas? How much do you spend on gas every month? And then apply it toward your business. Think about that. So get that number, what you annually spend. All right, mortgage rent. How much do you pay for your, now you gotta pay for your home, right? And these are just necessities. These aren't even extras. Just everyone's gotta have a home, right? So you're paying for a mortgage or your rent, what do you pay? Annually, so times that by 12. How many pay for healthcare? How many say, oh yeah, I get it from my spouse or someone else, but do you know how much they're paying? Because I know they're not getting 100% free, right? They're probably contributing to their paycheck, right? How about food? Everyone needs food, right? Basic necessity. Do you know how much you spend in food a month? I don't know about you, but my household went up in price on food. It used to be about 600 a month, and now it's rolling around 800 a month.
Oh, that's for like
Your family.
Groceries.
Groceries. I'm just trying to pay the basic stuff. We're just paying basic life skill, life. We're paying basic life, right? We're saying we're doing real estate to pay for basic life. Okay. What about utilities? How much utilities? I know, not just your water, sewer, gas, not your SMUD and PG&E, but also about your internet, wireless, right? What about your utilities? Your cell phone, right? All those utilities. If you add those up per month and times them by 12, how much would it be?
Garbage and water.
Garbage, water, yeah, water, sewer, garbage, PG&E. You all need all these things, internet. You need your cell phone, right? And here we're just spitballing. I bet if we actually added the numbers, it'd be higher. So.
Time like utilities.
I know, I'm like,
Look at that right now.
It's not even
Yeah,
happening,
yeah.
nothing's coming out.
Car payment, car insurance.
Yeah, what you got? Car? Yeah, I can put that in there. Car payment. You gotta have a car. You have a car payment? Car insurance? How much is that?
I do.
Yours is 12,000 there. Yeah.
So in utilities, you're throwing in like the car insurance and stuff?
No, I should have put car in there. I forgot to. So I'll put on that.
An exercise.
Yeah, that
one
one.
is way more
Utilities
detailed.
is like Netflix and all that stuff too, right?
Just, I would say keep your utilities what you're willing to live with. Like you have to live. I'm trying to keep it basic necessity. So this is saying all we're paying for is the basic bills for you to live.
Amazon's not on here?
That's up to you. If you need it, if you need it.
That subscription is
If you
definitely
don't.
in there.
So add that up. So take your income and minus your expenses, and what do you get? What do you get, Jose? you're the one laughing, man. So.
Because we all inside were laughing. Like, yeah.
44 is without.
What?
44,000. That's including tax.
Including taxes, and that's a cap as well. So.
Yeah. Also, I don't have mortgage or.
So, okay,
This is
so
expensive.
thank you for sharing. So no mortgage, no car payment, and she's netting 44,000 on the year. And I'm not even putting the fun stuff like Amazon,
Or vacation.
Netflix, vacations. None of that's in there. None of that's in there. This is just paying for, I need to live and work. That's it. No fun in there. No extra car payment and no mortgage in there. So if I'd had the mortgage in there, if I'd had the car payment in there, where's it at?
Probably
Yeah, just realize what my
$1,000 a month car
payment.
But that means.
No, mortgage. It's not even that bad.
How's it looking, boss? How's it looking?
There's that.
I don't have a mortgage.
I live at home. I'm good.
Or healthcare.
Okay, and those of you in Zoom land too, oh, where's Zoom gone?
They're still here, I just picked the camera's just here.
Oh, okay. Well, Zoom
Oh,
land.
I'm
Oh,
on.
yeah.
I'm trying to connect my,
Oh,
now
you're
the
back.
computer. Hey,
So
I'm trying
if
to
you
do
get
the
a capital
computer.
level, if you just did capital level, assume 10 transactions, 515, 2.5, you're probably going to end up somewhere around $30,000, 30, 35 net a year. I just want that pointed out, like, you know.
That's what I got.
You're getting near poverty level on that level. So that's why. And what some of you are doing on this, and I wanted this exercise, is you're robbing from other things. I know a lot of you rob from your tax bill. A lot of you are robbing from healthcare or other things, right? Like I'm foregoing healthcare payments, so I'm sacrificing my health to extend my living standard, essentially, right? So I want you to know this. If you have a business and it's real estate, you need to get serious about it because 10 transactions, yeah, it pays the bills, but it's not a fun life, right? And you really got to get up higher than that. And we're talking about in one of the greatest, highest priced markets in the United States. And that's just
multiple sources of income too.
Yeah. And I just want to put 25% is generous. If you are a self-employed, you're going to pay your natural IRS tax rate plus a California tax rate,
Yeah.
plus a self-employment tax of 15%.
It's definitely around 40%.
Yeah. And I can tell you, it's big. Our personal tax rate between feds and state is about 50%. So literally every dollar I make in my household, 50% is likely going.
Are we gonna talk about getting into entities and like?
Yeah, that'll be next class. We'll talk about how ways to avoid that, but you got to have income first. It's no fun to spend money on an S corp and do all the work and spend all the money to file those taxes if you don't have money to like pay yourself. Amen.
And when you look at somebody, you know, your personal mortgage, you can write all that interest off, right? So your car payment, you can write some of that stuff.
And that's why I put it at 25 because I think most of us can probably get it to an effective rate of 25% if your income's around 40,000.
Yeah, but if you wanna buy anything, like a real estate.
Yeah, you're not buying it. Yeah.
Like.
So I just want to know, well, we celebrate cappers. You're paying the bills.
Yeah.
Paying the bills.
Yeah.
So
With your real estate business.
with your real estate business, which is good, but I'm sure it's not the life that we all pose to ourselves. Now, obviously, there's other factors with other spousal income. So some of us are surviving off other spousal income to help, or going taxes or other things, but you're always robbing Peter to pay Paul to make this work. So if you think about, I want a standalone business that pays my bills and gives me the life I want, then you need to be real about your income. What you're producing. Any ahas? Any questions on that? Anyone had a number they didn't like?
Running a business is expensive.
It is.
It's always been my with real estate or kind of anything, like all of the dues. No one's giving you handouts. You're on your own. It's like this no matter what company you're with or if you're starting your own whatever. Like, it's an expensive business, but we have an unlimited potential. That's why we all like it. We have the ability to make our own schedule. And
Yeah,
things
and
like
we'll talk about this next time, but KW has a rule 30-30-40. And the 40 is 40% of your income should be profit. And I can tell you, I run my business off my real estate team off that model, and it is tough to hit 40%. It is tough to hit 40%.
40 is profit, or
40 is profit. So it's 30% expenses, 30% cost of sale, 40% profit.
Crazy thing about it is, real estate is like the quote unquote cheapest business you can start.
Yeah.
It's still that expensive.
It's still a very good profit margin. I mean, if you hit 40% profit in any business, that's a very good profit margin for most businesses. I think Amazon was like 7% profit margin on everything they do, but they're just so big. It's a large number, right? It's a volume. So, and you'll realize even at 40% or even if 30%, and you can see from this activity, it's really about volume.
John, can you say that?
What's
Can you
that?
say that one more time? You said 30, 30, 40, and it's
30, 30,
30%.
40, and it's 30% expenses, 30% cost of sale. Cost of sale will be things that you incur at the close, like TC fees, your commission splits and things like that, right? Those are cost of sales. So
And then 40% was profit, right?
it should be,
Okay.
but I can tell you, keeping your expenses to 30% of your business is a struggle. So.
And that model varies wildly depending on the it's kind of like the ideal, if everything were perfect in a perfect world, 30, 30, 40 is what you're shooting for, but that typically doesn't pan out until you're pulling in, I think, 0.2 million.
Yeah, you got to get up there and volume. It is a volume-based thing at a time to get that.
Well, then you're hiring more employees, you got sales
Yeah,
staff.
it's sort of like as an individual agent, you should be able to do 30, 30, 40 as an individual agent because you expenses built, right? As an individual agent. But then the minute you start hiring, it switches. But then you need to increase your volume. But then it gets a lot easier. So, but we can talk about that there. All right. Woo. Okay. Now let's talk about your expenses. Now we know your income. Let's do your expenses.
Didn't we just do that?
We did some of it, but I want to be a little more detailed on it. So a little more detail.
Want reality to set in a little
Yeah, a little. We want reality. Our goal. We had a goal when Bobby and I sat down for lunch, and I said our number one goal is to make you guys more real about your personal finances. That was a goal of the class.
Anxiety.
Exactly. The more real.
Everybody gonna need a drink.
You're
after
living in
today.
La La Land. And I just put this out there as an example for you. Also, I want you, if you do not have a budget, it should look something like this. Now, it's not going to be everything, but it should look something like this.
I actually have a spreadsheet. If they want to ask me for it.
And these are all Google Sheets.
Maybe, yeah.
If the Google Sheets, Sam has a copy of all these, so she can email you all the actual.
You have all your personal expenses on a spreadsheet.
Yeah, I have a spreadsheet that I can look on my cell phone.
Super.
I have.
Color coordinated and everything, or what?
I have revenue, and then I have an expense sheet, and then the P&L for me.
Your
and
personal, no, personal
My
stuff.
personal business, and then I
No,
have.
you mean your personal side.
Personal expenses, like how much you're spending at lunch,
Yes.
and how much you're spending going to the bar, and how much you're spending
So
childcare, and how much for.
Yes,
That's
I have
awesome.
I have a budget that I've laid out, and I give myself money for fun, and I give myself money. Now, do
Yeah,
I
what-
stick to the budget all the time? No, but it's.
Right there.
It's right there.
Have it,
You got it. It's
I want
like, bitch, quit behind the budget.
Well, I didn't, we know like our personal amount that's going out. I don't have it like divided up in different categories. I know like ours is probably like 6,000 or 7,000 or something.
Yeah, mine is,
And it's big.
mine's $6,922.72.
It's a very eye-opening exercise.
Yeah, so, and what I want you to do is it's gonna be, people are gonna have hard, it's gonna be hard because you're gonna have some annual expenses. So in our household, we've taken any annual, like our car insurance happens every 6 months. So literally, we've turned that into a monthly expense, and we save that monthly expense every month. Anything that's annualized or quarterly paid or annually paid or semi-annually paid, we actually save that money every month to go to a fund that all those payments get paid out, right? So,
This is the best way to like, when you're looking into goal planning for next year, right?
yeah.
How do I look at what I want to spend on a monthly basis as a first one? What is my car payment? What's electricity? What's fun? What's vacation? What's childcare? Things like that, and then work backwards. Right?
Yeah.
If Amy's spending $7,000 just about a month, and we know that she wants to save 10 or 15% or whatever, and we know she has marketing expenses, and taxes, and things like that. It's the best way to find out how many quick transactions she needs to close
Yeah.
to live with those means, and then how many more she wants to close in order to start investing in different things. So
And that's what I want
best
you
way
to
to look at it.
Yeah, we started with income because we showed that calculation, how you calculate your income, because we want you to get your expenses, figure out how much income you need to pay your expenses, and then figure out what you want to do for fun. If you want to invest and build other things or pay off debt, fine, then you'll know exactly how many transactions you need to do to get there. Right?
That was the literal game changer for me, is that this spreadsheet evolved. It started out as just tracking my deals, and I did that from the very beginning, because I wanted to, because I like counting my pennies. So I wanted to see how much money I was gonna make, so I could check my check. And then there was an expense thing on there, and so I put my little expenses in there, and then it started to grow. And I started to see more expenses, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then I added something for my budget. And then I wanted to track all my credit card expenses, so I added a credit card page. Now I have my rental page. My daughter receives an inheritance, and from like, anyways, she receives an inheritance. I have a page on there that tracks all of her money, because her money will be used to invest in rental properties, and I want her to have a portfolio when she turns 18. So this spreadsheet that I started, just with my little deal, grew into this, and this is my financial life on one spreadsheet. And I can go through that, and I can see what I need to do. And I have a whole reading list. It's like my whole life.
Know your numbers.
Know your
You
numbers.
gotta know your numbers.
No,
What's
it's a
I
spreadsheet
saw,
that
I saw this thing called
yeah.
True Bill.
True bill?
You guys know about it?
No.
Yes,
the
it
first
tracks
one-
your expenses, and it tells you what you
Yeah,
spend money
it's
on. It tells you to stop.
Yeah, yeah. There's plenty of apps out there. There's plenty of apps out there that when you connect with your bank account, they'll tell you like you spent this much on eating out, you spent this much on here, this much on here, and
So I downloaded, I started that's account stuff. I stopped.
I link my accounts to so many things. Like everything has my bank account number. Like if they're gonna get it, they're gonna get it somewhere. I wouldn't be afraid. I would try it, because those apps help. Like they help get
yeah,
control.
trust
of
me,
everything.
I've connected all my accounts. I've had
All of our
Websites have my
I've had
bank
people
account.
fraud it. Okay, they put the money back, you get your new card, right?
Yeah.
So all the major banks.
Fraud's not like it used to be.
Yes, ma'am.
Nowadays, when somebody steals your account, you get your money back. And
Yeah.
move on to the life.
Most banks, you just freeze your account. All of a sudden,
You
it's
got
not
an
freeze the
FBI
check.
insured credit card for them and bank.
So it was asking for credit card numbers, bank account.
That's the only way you're gonna track it.
That's the only way it's gonna track it.
Otherwise, you gotta do it by hand.
I can tell you, my service, I have
It's time.
multiple accounts and credit cards and debit cards, and they're all in the system. They all upload. That's how we're able to do it 15.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to at some point. I mean, they do our payroll, so they're automatically taking money for payroll out of our account, so they gotta have some. You gotta trust somebody, because if you're gonna do this all yourself, you're gonna spend a lot of time crunching
Or
numbers.
you're
It's
not
not
gonna do
fun.
it.
Or yeah, you're not gonna do it
You're
because it's
not
not
gonna
easy.
do it.
It's not easy, yeah.
Because it's not.
Okay, so. What time is it? Everyone good on this?
So one more question.
Yes.
Stupid question. This is what you scan that water, you take a picture of that.
You get this in electronic format.
No, you just get a picture.
You got a picture?
I
Okay,
get a
JD.
picture.
I got it.
You
It just
can't
downloads
download
it.
it on your phone if you
You
have an
can.
iPhone. You have
Oh,
to
yeah.
just take a picture, or,
Yeah, got it.
Got it?
oh, you did?
I just got a picture.
You can
Then you go to the
download
bottom, open it.
Then you can open and you can choose you go to Google Drive. Sheets.
I'm just gonna have Sam send it to me.
Oh, yeah, we'll have Sam send it to you. What I want you to do is, you gotta do this exercise, and the easiest way is most of us don't know. So if you just wanna run it yourself and not do anything, then wherever you spend your money from, credit cards, bank statements, wherever you take your money from, pull out those just for 1 month. Take August or September, and just run the expenses. And the reason I put a bunch of lines there is, you can run down your bill and say, how many times did I go for gas? Oh, I went 5 times this month. And you put those numbers in and add it up and total it. And you will get a real number. And that's what you need to get around, is a real number.
Yeah, if you go, I mean, so we use our credit card, and not cash, but it's paid off on the due date every single month. So take the credit card and say, oh, well, we did gas this much at Costco, whatever,
Yeah.
is what you're saying, to get your.
Yeah, so you can get a number. Literally, my household like this, we got serious about 3-4 years ago. We literally have a budget, and we assume we know how much we're going to pay. Literally, we assume this much in groceries, this much in household expenses. We literally put that money aside, leave it there, and move the rest of the money. So literally, when we spend money, if we overspend, it's gonna deny us, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
well, now we have a savings account, of course, so if you wanted to, I was talking to John Lanting, if you want to impulse buy, I have the money to do it, but it makes me like, I have to go into my account,
Transfer the
move the
money.
money, right, to make the purchase go through, and you're like, nah, that's not worth it.
Checks and balances.
Yeah, it's really a check and balance on us, right? So we literally move the money of what our expenses should be. So that way it keeps your expenses there, right? So.
Going back to what you said earlier in the class, I made the mistake personally of doing it that way. But then my mind wasn't right about the credit card thing. Well, it's just easier to swipe the credit card. Yeah. And then my whole checks and balances fell apart because I had a credit card in my wallet.
Yeah, I actually.
Well, it gets real for us because we do use a credit card a lot for most of our expenses, but we have a set amount, like it withdraws automatically the whole balance. So we are always cognizant about not spending too much, right? Because it will automatically dip into our savings and we're trying to keep our savings at a certain level and you're like, damn it, right? So, and we're pretty good about that. Like we just make sure this is what we spend and this is what we traditionally spend. Then we have other accounts.
So now a question for you.
Yeah.
You said you use your ATM thing?
Yeah.
So it would go by that check account and then.
Out of my checking account. Yeah, we'll go into structure of finances. I'll show you what accounts we do and how we do it here shortly. So. Income budget discussion. What else did you have? What do you need to change in your spending habits? Anyone?
I need to stop using my credit card again. All spending.
Right.
Go. Spartan.
Eliminate expenses.
No Red Bulls for me. So.
You're like, wait a minute, no, I have a budget for that. Amy's like, that's budgeted one a day.
I need to invest in this company.
Buy wholesale, buy large, it's cheaper. Yeah.
You're a damn genius.
It's like $1 a piece now.
I'm right about this boat.
For me, is how do I strategically go on business appointments with people so I can
Right.
avoid extra
I know.
activities, drinking or eating or whatever.
You're like, real estate.
How do I make it
Okay,
business
let's go back to
His business income is zero, but you know everything else is good.
All my friends are in real estate, so it does help. Real estate gets brought up.
Every time.
Or I'm trying to talk me to buy something.
There you go.
Dual purpose.
Dual purpose, I love it. So. Any other house people have? Yeah.
I
For
need
me,
to
is to actually, like, I know I work on tracking my numbers for business, but I really track my personal. Like, I have an idea every month what my outgoing is, and I make sure my production, I make more than what goes out. But it's definitely frightening going through these numbers right now. I'm just like, I knew it, but when you see it on paper, it's like, wow, excuse me.
No, literally that spurred a change in our life. We went through this with my wife, serious about in the house, big 4,000 square foot house. And we said, oh, we're cutting expenses. So we cut. And we got it. We're like, man, we still want to save more money. And we realized the only thing we can do was downsize the house, literally. It was our largest expense, not just the house payment, but the utilities and everything, very large. And so house cleaning, everything. So we downsized the house, we sold the house and went to a smaller house. And that freed up everything. Then our savings went sky high, and that's when we hit $1 million.
So did you cut out the house cleaner?
No, I'm kind of house cleaning.
That's what I'm saying, man. I can't
Oh,
cut out my
compromise
house cleaner. I
here.
need my gardener, I can't my pool guy, I can't.
No,
Your options are to cut or make more, Jose.
yeah.
It makes more, we cut.
That's why we're all.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, but I want to make more and cut at the same time. Then you make it really fast. So what I did is I had a HOA with the, cleaners and everything. But my house was so big, my cleaners was like $300 a session, right?
Shoot.
Now I moved, and then I go here, and now it's like $120, right? My utility bill was huge because I'm cooling a 4,000 square foot house.
Your cleaning lady.
Yeah, wait a minute, 120.
Anyway, and then
It's half the size, man.
you got to hand out a lot of referrals. So.
Yeah. I get free one time too.
Exactly. So I got a yard that was super small. My kids were kids, and I moved it from across the park. So kids go play at the park. And my HOA covers my front, and I put fake grass in the back, so I don't have any landscaping costs. Right? I was like super. I kept my maintenance costs real low. Right? So and we got very purposeful about it. So.
That's my aha. I looked at my expenses just now, and you're like, you got it right now. And I looked, and I read the number, and I was like, that's getting high. I need to
Yeah.
bring that
It's
down.
called a lifestyle creep, right? So
Lifestyle creep for sure.
it's,
It's real, it happens.
it happens, yeah. So, what do you need to do to increase your income? Some of you is thinking about that, right? It's not just an expense issue; it's an income issue. So many people, you know, you're in real estate. You can control your income, right? So,
I think my biggest thing is, we talk about this, we talk about it all the time, multiple streams of income. And also the money that I have that I save, it's sitting and I'm like, it's just sitting in this bank account. I don't like that. It's not making any money. And so I'm like, what can I invest in that's gonna bring in, that's gonna make that money make money? Once you have money, then you can start making that money make you money. And that's a whole nother
it blows your mind.
ballgame. You're like, I'm just making money because I had money.
That's
Because I saved.
the nirvana of wealth building is there. You got to get to a place where you haven't. And the reason we do this budget exercise is you need to have leftover money because first you have to pay off debt. Then you have to get ability to save and have an emergency fund. So if something happens, like my car breaks down and needs a new motor and it's $12,000, it doesn't just tank my whole year budget, right? So you need that savings account, and then you can talk about it.
I think figuring out some of these other sources of income is paired with real estate. Some people can go and Mary Kay or Herbalife or whatever it is, right? How can we associate it with real estate? It could be referring people out of state. It could be recruiting people here at Keller Williams. It could be a rental property. It could be, we always get hit up all the time by ADT. It's $250 a pop. If you just asked your client, and if you half of them do say yes.
Yeah.
$250 per
Yeah.
10 people a year, that's $2,500. Or all the solar companies these days. Like
Yeah.
they're always, they used to reach out to us a lot. They used to give us like $1,000 or something like that if we were for solar. So little things like that. I've started to, we do a lot of flips and rentals and stuff. I started to work with some different contractors and referring, getting some fees there, or just referral pieces there. So there's a lot of different pieces that are associated with how many clients that we're talking to. Taylor's talking about opening like a cleaning business.
Yeah.
Like how outside the box is that? John, Mike, and Taylor, they got the mortgage business here. We got NHD. So how can we put these different businesses together that we're already talking to so many people in real estate that can help with those multiple streams of income?
And that's why it's better to have a bigger business. The bigger business you have, the more clients, and the more opportunity you have to do those kind of.
When you have that 3,000 person database, and then if you were doing refis or warranty referrals or whatever it is, or security referrals, and you're just doing it in your newsletter and saying, hey, by the way, so and so's got a special on security systems, you know, refer us. And
or even cut your expenses. Like I told, how do you get 120? It's because I refer out my cleaner, right? You know, work your stuff.
Property manager too. I think we get like $750.
Yeah.
When we refer an investor to a property manager, that's a huge one. I used to get, I think we get a couple checks from them a year.
Yeah.
Like just little things like that. Like start registering, get that whole slew of lists, and how can we?
And that's what I'm talking about. And Bobby has it, and I have this. You got to have a wealthy mindset. Think about. So many people are closed about the opportunities around them. You're a real estate agent. The reason you get paid the most of everyone in this industry is because you procure the client. You're the one that runs the whole thing. And that comes with a lot of opportunity because they trust you, right? And you got to think about that, right? And think about how people have used that to create better relationships and even passive income relationships, right? You should be thinking about who in your client base you can do a win-win relationship, right? So.
Also, it looks like from this, we have most.
Oh, yeah. Nice tax rate.
You're self-employed.
Self-employed, you do. So
the
tax rate. That's why if you're self-employed. Yeah, we're going to talk about corporations next, but it doesn't make it worth it money-wise because you're going to have to pay a separate tax return and run certain numbers unless you have the ability to start. You really start saving money if you have the ability to pay yourself a payroll. Yeah.
I'll kind of just jumping back to what Bobby said real quick. Looking around for outside streams of income. If you take that to an extreme level and you think really big on it, like this is what people are doing. Look at Zillow, look at Keller Williams, they're looking at all these other opportunities around what they're already doing. And you got Keller Mortgage, right? You got Keller Cover, you got Keller, like whatever else they started. Zillow's doing the same thing. Like, yeah.
Zillow now does their own title and escrow, right? So they're all trying to capture
Look at
this
what
money.
Amazon did. They went and said, hey, where can we save money or make more money?
And honestly, the good part about it is,
right? Like,
not only does it make them more money, but that's what clients want. Clients want a one-stop shop.
They really do.
Yeah, they want convenience, right?
They want the convenience. They don't want to have to talk to 5.
That's why I talked to me about Cap City NHC. I'm like, you get profit share off this. But I was like, you realize it's cheaper than the other ones.
Yeah.
And it's a convenience to your client, so that you can go, I can save you money. Now, it's only $20, but still, like, they feel like, hey, you're fighting for them, right?
I said Bob made a very good comment on the most simplest one is the alarm. Like I just did that today, and I referred it over. I asked my client, we just go like, hey, do you mind if I refer over insurance? Because alarm insurance anyways. Yes, please do so. It's $200 right there. And when this morning, it's great you brought that up. This morning, I'm like, dude, we're in October. I've been sleeping on that since January. Like, oh my God, like there was so much money that I missed.
Our database.
And maybe put it
You're
in,
welcome.
put it in the buyer's comp or in different stages of it.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily at the end and where you don't come off too salesy, but right before. Have you guys thought about an alarm while you're doing your final walkthrough?
Yeah, what if you had what if you had a template closing email that says you need to talk to this utility, by the way, you need a loan referral, there you go, right? You know,
Dude, I'm trying to have them do my car payment every month.
Yeah.
that'd be nice, that'd be nice.
And the point I'm trying to make with the, what Keller Williams and Zillow and everybody's doing is that right there is the same exact thing these guys are doing at a large level. And if you think, like, if billion-dollar companies are doing that, you think you could benefit in your business? Like, thinking like that.
And that one thing, it's a guarantee. After you close, you'll need an email. It's an easy extra $200. It was that simple this morning. Send a flyer, client said, yep. Send it over.
Solar is the same too, and they're that and property management, they're bigger paychecks.
Yeah,
The ADT is probably more common that you could kind of link those up.
It's easy to do
Buyers.
that, yeah. All right, good discussion.
But just start thinking about it. There's
Yeah, you
tons
have
of
a
different
list there.
ideas.
You have a list there, Bob, of all those ideas?
I've rattled them all off just now.
Yeah.
Put it
I don't
together.
work that fast.
Yeah.
But just think about everywhere you touch. Who can pay a referral fee? You're talking about contractors. I refer a lot of contractor work.
Yeah, you get free work.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get referrals or they
Yeah.
send you checks.
Yeah, sometimes like, hey, I haven't tried. When I call, they come and they do my work and I get it at cost, right? Because think about all those things you can save. So now I'm getting lower cost on my rental property, so I'm making more because I refer them out. So just think about win-wins you can have, right? So
What topic comes next? Is it a
So,
one here?
property management.
Yep.
yeah,
They all do it. We have an in-house sponsor now.
Home
Yeah.
They're new.
Home record.
home number, yeah,
Home River? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
They
we
do.
have,
It's either 600 or
we had
something.
Stefan here all the time before. He's
Yeah.
got checks from
Doesn't doubt
Used
now.
to, yeah.
Yeah,
He's
so
out,
then now
yeah.
we got someone else that's been in our insight. So it usually comes to our team meeting. Yeah, like 700.
Think about it.
We've actually,
Chris does tenant placement. So what if someone doesn't want property? They just want to help with tenant placement. Say, hey, Chris, I'll do fine. Chris Anderson.
Chris Anderson
She
and
helped me
Dexter.
get
Dexter.
Yeah, yeah. So can you kick me back 100 on this? Or they're not going to say no, right? So think about it. All right. Personal finance rule number 3. Personal wealth is always built from a sound financial plan and achieved with consistent action over time on the plan. I have never seen a company or a business or anywhere or anyone be successful without a financial plan and working on that plan diligently, looking at it all the time. That's why we're telling you build a budget. Trust me, the more you look at it, the more you're going to start making a lot of wise decisions about spending, right? Yeah,
Right,
right.
what we talked about last week, we got out the calculator on what 30 years of saving or 20 years of savings looks like. Make sure you have that financial plan, how much you want for saving.
And I just want to point this, you gotta get, I know it's not super sexy, and if you're, and like Amy, she doesn't want to deal with it, so she just apps the hell out of it, right? And that's fine, I don't care if you app the hell out of it, but it's gotta be in a place where you can look at it, where she can say, oh yeah, my personal expenses are here, oh crap, right? You need that sort of, oh crap, every once in a while to keep you in line, right? So,
Biggest thing here is overtime on the plans, just being consistent on it. If you're doing that every year, it's the compound effect, whether it's in a retirement account, or whether it's owning a rental property, or whether it's doing your 36 touch with your clients, and
Yeah.
getting more referrals, like whatever it is, it's doing something consistent over time is what's going to build personal wealth in any category that we're
and that's what I want to put over time in here, it's very important, and piggyback on Bobby. I see so many people trying to get rich super quick, right? And they're always gunning for these things and it never works out. And they spend so much time and energy going after it and then it doesn't work out. Like, I really wanna, we had an agent that recently came and said, I really wanna wholesale on Gray. And I'm like, great, go do it and make some calls. And he's like, oh, I'm afraid to make calls. He doesn't make calls. Like, you gotta be consistent, right? Like your plan's gotta line up with you. And that's why I want you to get real. Like, get real with your plan and get real with your business. Your lead generation checklist should be something that you're comfortable doing, right? Pick something, you have to do something, do it consistently. And I don't see anyone, wealth is built over time. Now, you'll have your super, maybe they're an elite NFL talent or something like that where you see success overnight. But for the average Joe Schmoes of us out there, it's built over time, right?
That's not overnight.
It looks like it's over.
That's not, yeah.
But-
It looks like it's overnight, but I can tell you those top NFL guys are training at a super high level. They're
Overnight,
cryptocurrency, yeah, cryptocurrency.
No, even that started in 2006,
no,
right?
like,
Bitcoin came in
people, if they buy
2006.
right time of funds, they literally double their profit. Short-term trying to say, it's not a short-term.
Everybody wants to
it's a
get
long-term.
rich quick.
Swinging for the home run, and then we see a ton of people like lose a ton of money.
Yeah.
This year, and then they got out and they're scared, and then oh shoot, I'm jumping back in.
Yeah, exactly.
It's trying to time the stock market.
Right.
Once again, it's consistently putting money in crypto. That's what you want to do.
And that's why I
Put
talk.
it in every quarter. Put it in every month.
That's why, and we talk about real estate investing is because, like, crypto is a good example. Do you know why it went down? Did you know why it went up?
Nobody does. I don't. Maybe
Do
some
you know?
people.
So literally, you're betting on something you
Well,
have
Elon
no
Musk-
clue about.
Elon Musk sent out a tweet, right?
Yeah, exactly. You're hoping Elon Musk sends a tweet for you because that's all that's happening, right? So,
That's
do you
why
really want to build your wealth on Elon Musk sending a tweet? I mean, that's really what you're doing.
It's very sensitive. High risk.
Yeah, so like, you can be risky. I mean, I invest at a 10 to 12% return rate, right? So you can get great return rates. You just gotta, build it over time. Trust me, it can happen. Trust me, 5 years, you can be a millionaire and be fine. 5 years. It doesn't take that long to do it. I don't care if you're zero and broke, right?
I spoke on it last time, 2 weeks ago, about our dude Warren Buffett and how most of his billionaire status came in the last.
Yeah, he has a $68 billion and 61 of it came after age 60.
Yeah.
He is like his 80.
Yeah.
20 years.
Yeah.
Returns.
Was it Colonel
He didn't need to
Sanders?
touch that money. He
Colonel
probably kept money.
Yeah.
Colonel Sanders
But
got
the first
turned
thing
down
we
by
can
like 1,000
do,
people.
the neat thing we can do is just
Yes.
more so just surround ourselves like-minded people that actually get the site.
Yeah. So get your budget, get around like-minded people, get focused on it, get your business right.
Know your
This is-
numbers.
Study it, man.
Know your numbers. Know your numbers. Know your numbers. And I found out I sucked at numbers, so I worked very hard to get an assistant. And I don't know if you know Megan, she is like a 99 SC, so she's like all numbers, like life can be explained with a mathematical formula,
Big,
right?
big numbers, yeah.
Yeah. So,
I'm up at 4 or 5 a.m. like friendship was born. It's always my strong point. It was
Really?
math or
yeah, I'm good at math, I just don't like doing it. Like I can do QuickBooks, I can do the whole thing, I just don't like doing it, right? So, I also. All right, so let's build the plan. First level, 80-10-10. Dave Ramsey, who we were talking about, has 11 budget categories along with the percentages. So he calls this the 80-10-10. And you can see 80% for living, 10% for saving, 10% he calls it giving or donating. Or maybe you donate to yourself and pay off some debt, right? So. And I just wanted to put out there, this is, now this is national, and I will say Dave Ramsey is conservative, but this is a pretty good, most of you, even if we have a lower income, can get to an 80-10-10 kind of budget. Right?
Teaches conservation.
Yeah, teaches conservation. You can get to an 80-10-10.
this is on our net, not our gross.
Exactly. Net. Remember, after you take the
Net.
money home, you pay all
The
your.
most important word is real estate business. You see all the sales, production numbers.
Yeah, trust me, you get good on your finances on your real estate side and you see the net number a lot, you start getting a lot more conservative about things. Like, can we spend that? Half that. Literally, we got a budget. She's like, the flyers, we need 300 flyers, it's gonna cost $350. I'm like, we're not gonna have 300 people there, cut it to 150. Like, I'm literally
this morning.
this one, I'm chinching like, no, cut it down. And I have plenty of money to pay the 350. I told her, no, chunks it down. If we need more, we'll print more, right? So we'll be all right? So just always be playing with that, right? All right, so if you're not at 80-10-10 now, and maybe you are, or maybe you're better than that, but if you're not, you should probably get something like this where you're living on 80% of your income. and 20% is going somewhere else, and that's the important part I want you to
I
point
mean,
out.
one thing to know, like, these numbers are less than what a lender will analyze you for.
Yeah.
Their debt to income ratio, this is where you should be. Well, you can get a higher house payment, 25% of your
house, yeah,
of your gross too.
If it goes, yeah.
They give you gross numbers.
They'll give you 45-50% toward housing.
Don't
Top of that.
don't overextend.
And literally, that's when I told you we moved and sold our house here, is because we realized we were higher than this. Then we moved to a house where we were like this, right?
So the, 80-10-10, you're living on 80, saving 10, it's like
Giving.
giving.
He said giving. This is what Dave Ramsey says. I said you can donate to yourself if you have debt. So
Maybe 20 for savings at first
yeah.
and investing, and then when you get to it.
I do agree with this. Try to get to a point where you're doing 80% of your living on 80% of your income, and 20% is either going to saving or investing or paying off.
I don't think if I make $100,000, I'm gonna give away 10,000.
Exactly. That's why. That's what I say. That's what Dave Ramsey said. But I would say get to the 80-20. 20% going to savings and investing or debt payment. 80% is living. All right. That's the first step. If you're not there, you need to kind of get toward that.
The insurance that you talk about, just like car insurance, health insurance, that's the one?
Yeah, insurance would be your auto insurance, your homeowner's insurance. What other insurance you have? You may have flood insurance. So you have disability insurance.
Have you guys heard of Dave Ramsey? All we have.
Yeah.
Big rice and beans guy.
Yeah, something tells me
He's got a good book though. If you guys haven't checked it out,
it's a really good one.
audio. You can read it.
Sometimes-
RALC.
These three, I bet, if you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a good book.
Snowball.
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about that. Actually. Ideal level is 70-20-10, which most people project to be 70% income, 20% saving, investing. Then they said 10% giving, but donating. But you can also, what you want to get eventually is to a 70-30 place. If you get there, it's going to feel real good. Where 20 to 30% of your income is discretionary, right? Literally, you can put it in investment, you can put it in savings. You want to get to that level, and obviously, as you get more wealthy, that ratio will continue to drop. But I can tell you, you start building real wealth at the 70% level. That's when it starts getting real profit, right? So, 40%. So think about your budget. Think about how much you're expending your income, and then what would you need to initially get to the, the 80-20, and then eventually 70-30, right? So, just like your commission splits, think you have 80-20.
So I got hurt the cap because then you get that 20% increase,
Yeah.
which you then apply to savings.
All right. Profit first envelope waterfall method. I know I use a similar version. I know Carnegie does as well. We have structured our personal finances, and my wife and I have done this to personally save money, actually, to enforce savings habits. So, what? That was Carnegie.
I'm like, what happened there?
Carnegie. Don't fall asleep on the keyboard. Okay, so. Okay, thank you. So we have one account, you can call the debt elimination or savings account. We call our household. We have all our income hit there. And then literally we know how much we're going to expend every month because we have our budget, right? And I put that money into the expense account. We transfer.
Literal new bank accounts.
Yeah, literally bank accounts.
I have about 6 bank accounts.
Yeah, we have 5 bank accounts. Yeah.
Those need-
And a lot of us is pushing money so we don't touch it. Literally, for example, a lot of our accounts I don't have a debit card for because I don't want it to. I physically would have to go into the bank, give them my ID, and get the money out. Literally to get it.
Savings in your tax accounts.
Don't touch
You
them.
don't want to touch them.
Literally, it's a pain in the butt. I follow profit first on my business side. I literally ACH electronically transfer all my tax and profit money out of my business to another bank that I don't even have a debit card for, so I can't even go to an ATM. And the nearest branch is in West Sac, and they're old school, and it takes like 20 minutes to get money out of them because you got to fill out this paperwork, and it's a pain in the ass. And you know what, every time I'm like, oh, I need to go get that tax money. Such a pain in the butt, but that means you won't touch it at all. I don't touch it at all. And then at the end of the year, I'm like, here's all the tax money. Oh, wait, I can put some in 401k. Great, put that in 401k. Tax it, done. All right, so.
Yeah, when I saw your basic account, same thing to mine. I have like income accounts only and then expense accounts.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about
And
profit.
now I have a vacation account and I have enough money in there to go on like my dream vacation that I never thought I would have, but it's because I did what Michael said and I just put money in there, non-negotiable money. And it's like, it's crazy how it works.
So you got your savings account, you put a set amount in your expense account. And then you put a set amount, what we do is we put a set amount. These are, well, I don't have a spending fund, but we have investing and vacation fund.
So that's where this exercise comes.
Yeah.
So,
You don't know what this number is unless you do that exercise.
So how I came into this is something that my coach had challenged me to do. It was basically, I was having a really hard time budgeting. Like just the general term, budgeting. You budget for yourself. I just couldn't do it. Because to me, in my mind, it was like, okay, well, I got to put this amount of dollars towards this. And so now I have to keep track every time I swipe the card. You know, like it was just too much. It didn't make sense. And so she challenged me to find something that made sense to me. And that's where the waterfall method came up. It was essentially get my paycheck, X number of dollars have to go towards debt elimination first. That's it, non-negotiable, goes there first. Second, I went back and I actually ran like 6-month averages on my expenses. So I knew how much I need to put in my expense account every month. That's where it goes next. And then I didn't have any way of spending that money of the first two that I can't walk into a store and spend. And then everything else just trickled over into the little once account at the end. This is my fun money. This is what goes on my debit card. This is what I can play with.
But it's tough. Oh, go ahead.
And I mean, basically, it forced me to budget myself because now I can't overspend on my fun money and take away from my
Take away from your future.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, you start talking like this and you set it up as talking to somebody and they had, vacation fund, this fund, this fund, and this fund. And it's like, oh, look, I'm broke. But because that's only in their expense account or what they're able to spend.
Yeah.
But everything else is, ballooned, right?
Yeah.
Because they focused on that.
How do overnight you want to get on the 80-20 rule? Set this up and only put 80% of your income in that account. Only put 8. You're going to live real tight.
Even Raul, man.
After tax, after you put your tax aside. So I just wanted to note that this on the personal side, I do a little different. We have an income account where all gets up, comes in, and then we parse it amongst our accounts. We put the expense account money in every month. That's a set amount. We actually do it every 2 weeks, every person. And then we have, more than these accounts, but we have a savings account. My wife is much more conservative, so we are comfortable at 6 months of reserve. So we take expenses of 6 months of reserve. That means we take our average monthly expense, which they define, and we times it by 6, and that's what we hold in a savings account of Mercy Fund. So when your Mercedes crashes and you need to cost up $8,000, and you gotta outlay that money. It's not.
He has to, it's finance.
That happens. I'm gonna get a double house every weekend. I would get clients get closed.
So every 1st and 15th, if we had to use savings for whatever reason and it wasn't at the 6-month balance, we automatically fill that account till it gets to 6 months. If we can't get there in 1 month, then we put all the money we have extra in the savings account till it gets to 6 months.
Automate all this.
Yeah, you can automate
You can
it.
set your bank to say, hey, these transfers happen on these days.
Yeah, literally, you can set your transfer to the expense fund. Done. And you can even have all the bills paid out of the expense fund set up. So literally, the money's going out, right?
Yeah.
And then I have an investing and vacation fund. So literally, any extra money we have, my wife and I have agreed to fund it at a 50-50 level. The vacation fund once it hits a certain level, then all the money is investing. So, and I pay cash for our vacation. I pay my investments out of my investment.
So if you don't use your vacation fund, you roll it over into your investing fund.
So our vacation fund sits right now. I think we cap it at 15,000. So vacation funds capped at 15,000. If we already have 15 in there, savings is at 6 months, then all extra money rolls into the investing.
15,000 a year,
What's that?
is it 15,000?
No, we just keep 50,000 in there. So say we go on a Hawaii vacation and now it's down to 7, then we push it back up to 50.
Kids.
That's how.
I like that minimum.
Kids get a lot, man. When you start flying with kids, it gets expensive. Yeah. It gets,
Disneyland.
I like
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
I like the minimum balance thing, like when I get to a minimum balance, I'm broke. I don't have any. That's kind of like what you're doing with those, but I do that with myself, like, gets to a balance and that money's gone, my spending money is gone and everything else stays.
yeah. And we just leave money in our spending account, which is our related income account. So we take the income in, we parse out all the money, and then the money we leave for what else. So,
It's tough though. You know, I got 3 kids and a house.
Yeah, you
I got 2
have
kids.
529.
I got 2
You
kids.
have to have the 529 though, the education.
The education fund,
I
yeah.
have.
And I'm funding our 401k in our business, all that stuff. Right? We're paying raw hours.
Is yours automatic, your investment or 401k? Like on a monthly basis?
The 401k is monthly out of my business. And then we do automatic, we're at an income level where you start losing a lot of tax deferred benefits. So only thing we can do is we have a Roth IRA, pay $1,000 monthly.
You pay 1,000? Yeah, I got one. I don't pay that. Yeah,
Max out 401k. You should do. Yeah, we'll get to this one. 401k. Do you realize you can put $19,500 in payroll if you do it through payroll a year, plus up to 25% of your profit, up to $150,000 a year.
But a Roth it's not tax deferred like a traditional, so you can't write off a Roth. Like I have a Roth, I should be every month, but because it's not, I think I say right.
It's after tax.
Actually, exactly. So I can't write that off. Whereas I need to get like a traditional
You need a
set.
SEP.
Yeah.
A SEP is the one that is pre-tax and then.
Pre-tax
And
IRA.
then when you withdraw after, you don't pay taxes on it.
Because a SEP is a traditional. But I do have
No, you pay taxes at the end.
Oh, you-
Yeah.
It's
not
tax
after a
deferred.
certain
It's tax
amount.
deferred.
There's one where you don't pay taxes.
Roth.
Roth, and that, but you don't get tax benefits.
Because with
But
Roth,
you
you
pay it
pay.
after tax.
Well, we'll get that into this. We'll get into this. We'll have some. So any questions on the spending accounts? How we structure things? I know some of you are willy-nilly about your money.
Anxiety.
You should talk with your
Just
spouses.
no, I'm
This
just
is a
kidding.
spouse's conversation, right? This is a spouse's conversation.
This is goal planning 2022.
22, 12, 22, it's like, honey, by the end of the year, we're gonna have it like this, right?
Yes.
And then when you start getting real about this, especially this part, and then suddenly you want more money in these, you're gonna be like, what can we need to cut some stuff, and you start trying to squeeze that number, right? So trying to squeeze that number. So. How to handle debt. Make a list of your debts, including back taxes, student loans, etc. Back taxes should always be your first debt. I know in real estate, I know we're bad about the back taxes, right? So, and the problem was why I always tell people, and agents come to me and say, John, I need help, and I had debts, and I said, what do you got? And I got back taxes on debt. Work on back taxes. Why? Because you start saving money to pay bills, and guess what the IRS does? Goes and takes that money, right? And they charge you an extra fee just to go get the money, right? And I don't know about if you know, but they're charging you what you owe on tax plus like a 15% interest rate. That's some ridiculous rate they charge you. Plus fines on top of that. And so it can go from like a $12,000 bill to $20,000 in like 12 months. It's ridiculous.
I know.
Amy knows.
I've made a bad habit of we start quarterly now.
Yeah.
Waiting till the end of the year. It's because I cash flow sometimes with doing a lot of projects and purchasing a lot of properties and doing flips. It is a massive penalty.
Massive
If you go past April,
You're
you
screwed.
don't pay it on time.
You're screwed.
It was ugly this year.
Even if you pay it off, like, even if you don't pay your quarterlies, it's more expensive.
And I even got around quarterlies. I know a lot of agents pay quarterlies. I got around it because what I do is I track all my expenses every month, right? So in December, I already know what I'm likely going to make on the year, and I already have my taxes saved, right? So my wife and I would go to our CPA, and they do an estimate. This is what your estimated tax bill is, and we cut that check in December as a quarterly tax payment, right? We cut it as our quarterly December tax payment, and guess what? Then the IRS never comes to us for quarterlies because we're always paying all our taxes in the tax year.
This was nice about having an S corp or LLC and running payroll.
Yeah, running payroll.
You think about it a little less, and you pay myself 5 or 6 or whatever it is a month that you want to do, and it's coming out every month.
And that's the beauty, yeah, because on my payroll that I pay myself on business, I claim 0. So now taxes are being withheld, and it's a tax deductible expense on my business. and it's already contributing every month to the payroll, to my tax debt, right?
I just actually got on the escrow to do that now, my fourth year, but I would say definitely, like, even if you're not producing the amount you're looking at producing, you definitely need to learn these taxes, because coming from the corporate, you're so used to W-2, it takes out. You don't have that habit once you leave that job and you come over here, and so then we do get in trouble with that GCI, like Bobby said, like, that's not your paycheck. I know for myself, I ended up learning this late, and yeah, the penalties are ridiculous under taxes. Because I didn't get that habit of doing it quarterly, annually, even saving. But that's why you really, as an agent, knowing you're gonna be doing this line of work, you have to know this first. Because it's gonna save you time, and it's gonna save you money, and it's gonna save you just a headache from that. So definitely you gotta know this up front. And I've learned that myself, to where now I'm talking to my team about, hey, you're being consistent, you need to get the S corp, because you're gonna start getting that tax bill, and trust me, it's no bueno like it was before when you submit your taxes in your W-2 and you're gonna tax refund, or you're gonna pay maybe $1,000 or $2,000. You're now looking at like $15,000, $20,000, $25,000. You're like,
Yeah, that's what I've had these companies like, I got some money saved now, and I want to invest. John, is there a flip or something we can do? And I'm like, look, you're going to get 12, 50% return, but your back taxes, pay those off first, because you're getting hit harder on those than the money out here than you're going to make, right? You're going to make money, and when you put it in the account, the IRS is going to take all of still have fees, right? So, like, stop it. Fix this first. And the funny part is, if you actually engage the IRS, it's actually not that bad. You can actually work on it.
They'll put you on a payment plan, and then they want you to pay it off within 5 years.
Yeah.
So if you owe a large amount, they will put you on some sort of plan that will.
Get normalized on it so that they're not coming after your money.
all right, leverage it out. Get a seat.
Last thing on the S corp, I think it just if you're not on that mindset, like if we can't even keep our own payroll or our net income, break down our P&L on a monthly basis, like it's probably the same thing. You're not writing a check to the IRS because you don't know how much you're actually making. This is another thing where I love just being on payroll with our business, is that it just comes out every month. So I don't have to think about it. It's like, this is what I set up. This is what I'm getting paid this year.
And you can also,
Taxes
you
are
can
getting
agree with 401k withdrawal. 401k, a whole thing happens. I want my contract to go to SEP IRA.
That's right, I'm late to the game on this.
What?
I feel like I'm late to the game.
Well, I think John was saying, like, we're going to look at it more next time, but the savings, like, it is going to cost you a little more depending on, like, the threshold that you're in, but it's just the peace of mind, right?
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you may be paying a little more, but if you're not paying until the end of the year and you're paying 12 or 15% on the penalty, obviously.
And I do say this, you want to get to at least a capper level. You want the ability to make sure you can pay yourself a payroll. That means you can't go 2-3 months between transactions. Right? You can't be a level where you're going 2-3 months between. You got to have some consistency in your business so that you're comfortable paying yourself a payroll, because that's where you start getting a lot of the savings.
See, a lot of
the
this
tax
falls
savings
back
happen
to what you guys constantly preach and what everybody else does. You know your numbers. It's not just your business numbers, but you got to know your personal numbers. Because if you don't know either numbers, you're going to fall into that statistics of the dropout ratio of people that come in, trying to be an agent, trying to learn the business, or trying to live the business, and all of a sudden they fall off because they didn't take the time to numbers or know how to.
And I'll say, every new agent that comes, I either tell them, save 20% of your bill, no taxes. I literally tell them. But the problem is you get desperate and you start borrowing from taxes and other things to make it work. And then suddenly at the end of the year, you're screwed because you lived a lifestyle that you didn't support because you took the tax money to do it, right? So
you're just getting that check and knowing that everything's taken away in W-2s. You're like, I can spend this.
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas now it's different.
See that number and you're like, oh, this is
yeah,
fine.
what if you put your checks in your business and you paid yourself a payroll and you only set up the payroll? Then how much would your business be, right?
Yeah. And
Okay.
you mentioned being behind on that. Don't look at it like that. You're in a position now where you're acknowledging what you need to do to take your business forward. Right?
And I will say, yeah, get your, and we'll talk about it, but get your business to a level where you can set it up. It doesn't make sense if you're doing 4 deals, just the costs don't justify. Right?
Yeah.
You can't pay yourself a payroll. You're not going to get the tax benefits from it. You got to get consistent in your real estate income. Just to talk about methods, there's a couple methods. The snowball method, which I know Dave Ramsey does. Involves making payments on all your debts and paying the smallest debt first in time. So if you have problems paying your debt, this is it's not the cheapest way to do it, but it's the best way to get mental health, your mental health in a better state, that you're making progress. So that he says, pay minimum payments on all your debts, pay the smallest one as much as you can left over. and try to remove that smallest one, because that will give you a moral victory. And this is about mindset. We talked about between the ears. You get that victory. And that's why it's called a snowball, because every victory you get makes you want to do it more. And then you save more money and you pay that off. And the next one, you pay it off, you pay it off. That's what's called the snowball effect. I will say Dave Ramsey came up with this, and it's very ingenious, because most of the encouragement goes to the avalanche method, which is make minimum payments on all your debt and pick the one with the highest interest rate and pay that off first. Now that makes more financial sense, but often the one with the biggest percentage is also usually your highest balance. And so you don't get, it's going to take me 3 years to get this paid off. You don't get that gratification, and it's easy to fall off. So a lot of people, that's why Dave Ramsey pushes the snowball method, which I'm personally a fan of, because it does give you that mental victory quicker and sooner.
I got this one paid off.
Yeah, now it's going to the next one, and it does give you momentum, and you want to save more, and it does push that. And that is important for a lot of people. So if you are not good at paying debt, then I would recommend the snowball method. If you're like hardcore, I don't care, I'm doing it, then do the avalanche method, right? So.
On the snowball method, or the snowball method right there, they're talking about, say you have a credit card and it's $56 a month or whatever, and you have a $300 budget on it, and then you have your car note or a personal loan at, let's say, $2,000, and then a car note, and then whatever. You take that minimum payment. Once that credit card's paid off, you take that same payment that you were paying that, and then you snowball it into the next smallest one, and then you take both those payments, car note, and then
you'll gain momentum over time, with your debt. So it's a great method. If you have debt, remember, if you have back taxes, get with a CPA or a tax preparer, get those resolved, figure out those payments, and then snowball. Taxes. Okay. After non-mortgage debt is eliminated, then create a savings account, 3 to 6 months. Some of you are more conservative than others. Some of you feel I recommend at least 3, but some of you are less conservative, so 3 is fine. Some of you are more conservative. I'm actually more the 3 route. My wife is a 6 route, and so we are married, and so now I'm the 6 route. No, there's no compromise in this one. I found out when we're at 6, my wife is happy to approve all investments. When I'm at 4, it's not so. I make her happy, and so then other things.
Good job.
Happy wife, happy life.
compromise.
So I recommend you get a savings account. This will give you the ultimate This is, when I talk about money can't buy you happiness, they actually do studies on this. And money actually does buy you happiness. It does, but they found that happiness reaches a certain level and tapers off. And you know what that taper off level is? It's when you can pay all your bills and have a savings account, people maximize their happiness. And it kind of sits there. So money will get you a certain amount of happiness, and what it does is it gets the stress off. Yeah. When you can get this, the stress is off of you. Because nothing can happen to you that you can't handle, that you can't absorb. Because I know you guys are all hustlers, and there's nothing that, even if something happened to you, you lost your license, you can figure out in 6 months how to make some money, right? And I know you can hustle, right? Then after that, start investing.
So basically, you have to have 6 months of expenses plus your mortgage.
No, that is that. Like your 3 to 6 months monthly expenses.
So whatever this number turns out to be.
Your utilities, car.
So if it's $7,000 a month, then I need $42,000 in my savings.
Before investing.
And that's just like money you don't touch.
Yeah. So right now, my wife and I have our 6 month savings at $50,000.
But if you have employees and things like that, your business reserve should be just about the same.
Yeah, your business reserve should be the same.
We ran this exercise like right when COVID hit, cut like all the variable expenses and then employee expenses, and we make sure to have 6 months for operating expenses.
Especially in
a
real
lot
estate.
of the marketing you could turn off, but it doesn't necessarily mean you want to.
Yes. And that's what happened when COVID happened. I went very thin. Right. Very thin on things. We went more careful. We went thin on cut expenses. Cut. You don't know what's. You need to have flexibility, and the only way you do that is if you're in business and able to.
Same with your rental properties too.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely want reserves in there to be able to pick up for repairs or loss.
Yeah, I do similar with
moving out.
I do something with rentals. I let in some bigger pockets. I let it take my rental income and we parse it amongst capital expenses and short-term repairs, right? So capital expenses are like I'm saving for the roof that's going to come up in 10 years. Makes sense? And the short-term expenses like the water heater went up, right? You know, like that. And I save that money so that the only money I'm taking out of my rentals is true profit. I cover all.
What's
I have
the
to figure out
percentage?
what that was.
What's that?
What's the percentage?
I save 5% on cap and 5% on. But I tend to take my rentals and rehab them to where I won't have expenses for a while, hopefully, ideally, unless there's something breaks, right? But then I do it that way. I find that works for me. Depending on the age of the house and if you haven't done certain systems, if I know certain expenses are coming up, like I need to replumb the house, I just didn't have the money to do it right now, so then I'll factor a higher percentage with the idea of replumbing the house into 2%.
What were the percentages for the rent?
What's that?
Is it plumbing? That's the hardest one.
Plumbing freaking sucks.
Sewer lines.
Sewer lines. Oh, I hate plumbing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially if the East Coast.
Yeah, plumbing, freaking plumbing. Because sorry.
No, I was just wondering about the
Plumbing,
percentages.
What's that?
Yeah.
The percentages that you use for rentals?
I would say on the capital expenses, I'm very diligent on my rentals because this is another people make a mistake on rentals. They get a rental and they think, oh, it's just going to be like that. I'm going to get $1,000 a month forever. And then, oh crap, the roof caved in because of dry rot and I never paid attention. Now I'm outlaying $12,000 to fix the roof. And guess what? I lost profit for a whole year. That means I'm operating a loss for a whole year on my investment. That sucks. I don't know about you, though. So if I know, so when I go and probably you're a real estate agent, you talk to inspectors, like how long is that roof going to last? Ooh, you got like 5-10 years. Okay, how much is going to be replaced? It's going to be about this much. Make sure that's in the budget. Take it. If I want to replace this in 5 years, how much would I have to set aside to get to that? Okay, boom. All right.
And knowing this information, I know it helps me, and I'm sure it can help all you too with your clients. You know, at the same time, look at a house and get an inspection report, you see it's like 10 years left. You know, like John says, knowing what the cost is, or if you're looking at an HVAC, you know the time frame. It's built in. If it's a 2000 model, you know it's 21 years into it. Average life is what, 22 to 23 years. So say factor the next few years, you know, hey, get a home warranty. It's going to give you a discount.
And that's, I'm sure, I'm Bob, when you're looking at duplexes or whatever, it's rentals, you're like looking at the big cost items, right? Like, how is the cost? How much is this going to cost? Because you got
Windows, electrical, plumbing.
Yeah. You
On
look at
your,
those things.
on your rentals, when you get them, do you get warranties on every single one of them so you have them?
Afton loves for us to do it. I don't know. I've done it. Probably half of our rentals have home warranties on it, but I don't know. I just feel like a lot of the vendors that we work with, like they're working on my other projects. It's a little different. I could send them over there to take care of something. It's not as much.
I did used to do home warranties like you, but then I got in a relationship with my contractor where he does all my properties. He'll do work at cost, right? So then I don't have, the home warranty doesn't save.
I've been telling my
Find a
clients that
vendor and
older
send them a
ones.
lot of business.
I tell my clients if they have older HVAC units, like get it, because a new one, if you buy it out of pocket, we're looking at like 8,000 to 10,000. But if you have a home warranty, you're looking at about 25,000 to 3,000.
If it's not, if it doesn't come up on the home warranty though, saying, hey,
Well, I mean,
you know,
that's
yeah.
where you have to make sure that it's good and know what needs to be done in
Yeah.
order to qualify for
The
that.
tough thing about home warranty with rentals is sometimes it's not practical, right?
Yeah.
If there's a plumbing or like a sewer line issue, they're like 3 days out.
Yeah.
Because you're
Yeah.
not gonna
Yeah.
have a toilet for 3 days.
Yeah.
They're not gonna be able to use their tub or.
And the thing I don't like is, you know, the
And then
HVAC.
and the house is backing up. You're really damaging your own house.
Yeah.
You're like,
No,
fuck, I
I
gotta
was
go to the bathroom.
referring to like the HVAC, you know, 'cause that's a big ticket item, you know. or-
Kind of the same
Still,
thing though.
you
If it's
can't-
110,
You can't let them go
Everybody's-
24 hours without heat for 24 hours.
That's the thing, yeah. Even the HVAC goes out, I have connections, but still, if it's 110 out, they're stretched super thin.
Yeah,
so
Right, super thin, right? I can't get them there for 2 days, right? So.
right, because mine did that a couple summers ago. My HVAC, it went out and,
And think about it, you're calling paying full prices, the home warranty's paying a discounted price to those vendors. So they're putting you at the back of the line, right? So-
got it.
Yeah, home warranties are.
And the thing I didn't like was,
They're not
I
For that.
knew the HVAC needed to be replaced, and they're not gonna replace it, they're just gonna part it to death,
Yeah.
right? And you know it always sucks, and I know I should just replace it, so what I tell people is be smart when you get in a rental. Know what you need to replace. And if you can't replace it, have a plan to replace it, right? Like, you know, know those things. Be smart about your, don't just buy the house because it looks pretty. Look at the structure and look at the cost and say, how much is it gonna be, right? So.
Home warranties send out whoever's first too, and you don't know if you're getting them out for a third property, really don't. You don't know if they're gonna do it
Yeah,
right.
they're usually not licensed. They usually, I've had somebody work on the panel a couple times
I
in
know.
their houses.
Disaster.
It was,
You're like, what are you doing?
it was just not that trade. It was kind of,
All right, personal finance from a fundamental rule to personal wealth. Stick to the plan. Don't skip steps. Stick to the damn plan. Stop trying to go flip a house when you have like, you know, back taxes. Okay, stop.
you just gotta borrow someone else's money.
Stop. Okay. I know we all want to flip and we all want that income and everything, but like stick to. Yeah. Just if your real estate business sucks, do you think you're gonna be a good rental manager? If you can't track your personal finances, do you think you're gonna do good on investing and flipping? How much of the numbers do you crunch on a flip? Like spreadsheets, right? It's like, if you can't do that, then how are you gonna be successful on flipping, right? Like, and what we're trying to teach you is all this stuff we're telling you to do. Go through the methods because you'll learn. You'll learn to appreciate the numbers. You'll learn to how to look at property and how to budget. And then when you learn those things, it transfers into your business and your business gets better. And then when you learn those things, it transfers into rentals and other things that you want to do. It's a skill you need to have. Right?
The other thing is studying the numbers. Is if you're flipping a house, you still want to know what everything costs.
Yeah.
If you have a rental property, you want to know what you need to preserve. Helping people buy and sell homes, you need to know what your expenses are, what your net income is, and then if we're getting our income and we're not paying our taxes, we need to know what our net, outgoing money is.
All right. Anything else, people? Next class. Share it on the calendar. Getting real with your business. Agent financials. Woo! Put it on the calendar. 2 weeks from now. We're going to delve in. We delved into a little bit today, but we're going to get super clear on your finances. We're going to talk about structures, all those sort of things. How to individual agent and what you're paying on taxes and other things. Kind of like we did record these.
I know, I was like.
We just recorded them. We recorded the first one, and it should be up, and we're recording this one.
Where is it gonna be up at? No, not that.
On our YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube, go to KW Sec Metro channel
Okay.
and subscribe to it. Get all the posts. Or you get your Apple ding you when you post them.
Yes.
But it's gonna be super fun.
Yeah, this is great fun.
Something I'm passionate about. Okay. So thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. We went a little over, but I hope it was valuable to you. Agent Financial is going to be super fun. And then we're going to go into tax-deferred strategy. Oh, it's going to be fun today. We're going to bring in some people. So we're
Goals
talking.
tomorrow, first step.
Yeah, well, first step tomorrow.
Oh,
Get your goals in line.
get your goals in line. It's fourth quarter. You can execute a lot of this by the end of the year and go January 1 super strong, right? So
Thank
five
you.
total.
Five.
Three more.
John. All right, guys.